Well, folks, the verdict is in. It looks like the illegals are setting the fires. That's just my speculation, but from what I've seen so far, including the guy that got cornered walking around with a blowtorch setting fires, it is obviously intentional. Maybe this is a land grab by the government. Maybe this is some homeless people acting a fool. Maybe this is just some destructive immigrants, illegal immigrants. I don't know, but it does seem very coordinated, and I've got a little bit more proof that kind of affirms that with GPS. Pretty shitty situation. Almost enough to piss you off. So if you're not awake, if you're not mad, if you're not disturbed a little today, this video will definitely do it for you. Just make sure everybody's on their toes. There's no more lying to the American people and telling us it's climate change is the reason these fires happen. These fires happen due to lack of maintenance and arson. No doubt about it, folks. We've got the proof. We know how Gavin acted throughout this whole process. He did not one thing over the last several years to spend that money that he was allocated to actually fix the problem, and now the problem is burning people's houses down. Almost 40 people are already DOA due to the fires, and somebody needs to be held responsible. The word out is Gavin Newsom is done, and I hope so. Now, let's watch this first video clip for you. Like I said, it's going to probably piss you off because it's just absolute confirmation that these fires are not climate change. There's somebody with a lighter or a torch setting fires, not at different times, but simultaneously. Means there's a coordinated effort, folks. Check it out, folks. Seeing this, folks? Yeah, that's enough to piss you off, folks. I ain't gonna lie to you. Watching 3 fires simultaneously start at the same time tells you it was a coordinated effort, and it's probably for some kind of sinister ulterior motive that we may figure out later on down the road. That may be why the response time, the inability to get water there, this may have been a planned situation that was set up to make sure that the fires couldn't be put out in real time. Just my conspiracy theory, but the more I find out about this, the more I think this was not climate change and not by accident. We're finding people with torches, fires simultaneously popping up at the same time per GPS footage. Heard there was illegal aliens setting the fires as well, possibly the homeless. Bad situation. And worse than that, the governor is dropped the ball, inadequate as could be. His statement he made the other day should be enough to get his ass recalled. Got a couple clips I want to bring to y'all today, though. We're not going to make this go too terribly long. Hopefully everybody's having a good Monday, not getting burned down by the Biden administration. At this point, if you live in California, I feel for you at this point, folks. Now, Tucker Carlson's got some opinions about Gavin Newsom, and he's absolutely right. Let's listen to it together, folks.
About Gavin Newsom, many different things about Gavin Newsom, but one thing I know for a fact about Gavin Newsom is he has the capacity to beat a lie detector test. Gavin Newsom will say anything he needs to say, and not like Biden's not like this, actually. Whatever Biden's fault, he's not like this. Like Biden, when, he has like guilt. If he's lying to you, he gets twitchy. Gavin Newsom's palms don't sweat. His respiration doesn't increase. His body temperature doesn't change. Nothing changes in Gavin Newsom when he lies to your face. And there are not that many people like that, actually. That's a rare quality. Like, to lock down the state, to keep people's kids from getting an education, and to arrest people for surfing, and then go have dinner at the French Laundry. Like, most people couldn't do that. They'd just be like,
You're saying he's a sociopath. He can lie and not care.
I'm not a psychiatrist, but I don't really know the category, and I'm not going to diagnose him, but I'll just say in 50 years of being around a lot of people, I've met very few who can behave that way. Very, very few. It's a very unusual quality, and of course, it's probably useful in politics.
Is he electable? Yeah, exactly. Are the American people going to see that the way that you see it, or?
Well, as you know, the system in California does not include elections. I mean, it has nothing to do with what the people think. It's a machine state. It's the most corrupt out of 50. Kamala Harris was like despised by most Californians, and she, was a sitting U.S. senator. Poor Dianne Feinstein, my neighbor in Washington. I don't think she was a horrible person, just for the record. but she was non compos menis, and like she could have lived well beyond her death as a U.S. senator. So it's like, it's not a democratic state, small d democratic state. It's not run on the basis of what the population wants. It's a fixed game in California. And so it does make me very uncomfortable that someone from that political culture, which is an utterly corrupt political culture, an authoritarian political culture, could like enter a presidential race. Cause like, clearly, what are you running on if you're Gavin Newsom? As a native Californian, you know, I know what the state was like in 1985 because I lived there, and it's completely degraded from that time. And like, how did that happen? Well, part of the big reason is the political leadership in the state. You've got nothing to run on. What are you running? Have you driven through LA recently? Like, seriously. So the fact that he would get in the race suggests, you know, they think that they can win without the consent of voters, and that freaks me out.
Yeah, California doesn't hold fair elections, so it doesn't matter who's running as long as the Democrats prop them up. Getting through with the machines or the endless no voter ID ballots, they get who they appoint instead of who the people want. And it is obviously killing the state, and it shows every single day. More people are moving out of California than any other state of the union, no doubt about it. It's happening, and I'm just glad to see, not that the state is falling apart, but people are starting to wake up and realize that they're living in a totalitarian state, literally, because they choose to reside in California. Hopefully we'll be getting some retribution for these criminals, crooks, and sociopaths that think that they know better than us, and they have the right to look down their nose and point their fingers at us, while they have no remorse or empathy for the suffering, for the people that they've caused harm. And that's the worst part for me. It just pisses me off that nobody has walked up and slapped Gavin Newsom in the mouth yet for allowing this situation to get so far out of hand that you can't even get water to a fire. Plumb disgraceful, folks. It's as bad as I've ever seen as far as politics go. Gavin Newsom, he probably spends more money on hair gel than he does on his actual state. No doubt about it. Now, we've got a clip here. It's a few days old, but this is one of my favorites. Kash Patel talking about what's going on with Judge Cannon and these criminals like Jack Smith that resigned today because they know their ass is probably going to prison.
Jack Smith has just been exposed by Judge Cannon of doing what? Lying to a federal court. Yep. These guys keep doing it. The judge just unsealed documents in the Jack Smith case down in Florida, which says the prosecutors themselves have admitted to tampering with evidence, to moving the very boxes from one location outside of D.C. to South Florida before they ever even charged Donald Trump. How in the...
So they took evidence from Washington, carried it to Mar-a-Lago, planted it in the floor, and took pictures of it.
World can you not be prosecuting and charging these constitutional gangsters that are at DOJ? And they learn it from the same place, the top down, the same AGs, the same DAGs, the same FBI directors who are cheering them on. I hope Judge Cannon, he's an actual fun legal thing that should actually be occurring. Judge Cannon should be implementing actual contempt proceedings against Jack Smith and the Department of Justice for lying to a federal judge and withholding evidence of exclusion and innocence from Donald Trump. Those contempt proceedings would be righteous, and I'd like to see those. Maybe we could put Jack Smith in prison.
Maybe. I'm waiting. I'm ready to see somebody go to jail. When the first one goes to jail, it's going to be panic time for the rest of them, and I think Kash Patel will be just the guy to get it done. He should be confirmed by the end of the week. I hear Pam Bondi will be confirmed Wednesday, and Pete Hegseth will be confirmed tomorrow with a couple of others as well, like Lee Zeldin. Trump's got about 20 picks he's got to get confirmed over the next couple of weeks. You probably do a couple a day. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I got a couple more clips here for you. This is Mr. Ratcliffe. He's one of Trump's legal advisors. He is discussing...
Yeah, so that famous photograph...
Discussing the famous photograph with the planted evidence. A little bit more to the story we just started listening to.
Yeah, so that famous photograph, what we have now learned, and the
Government has had, Jack Smith and his prosecutors have had to admit that that was staged, and those top secret classified sheets that all the public saw and said, oh my God, look at those top secret documents, those were placed there by the FBI. What Jack Smith admitted in court this week was that, in his word, they mishandled the classified documents and misrepresented those to the court. Maria, that's a kind way of saying we tampered with the evidence, then we lied to the court about it. And they got caught when President Trump's lawyers and the other co-defendants raised this issue and said, look, the documents here don't match up. The documents that were presented to us don't match the digitally scanned records of when they were taken from Mar-a-Lago. And Jack...
The dates caught them. They got caught with their little shenanigan over the date discrepancies.
Smith, not only did they tamper with that and lie to the court about it, but he's now admitted to the court that he doesn't know how that happened. He's only offered a number of possible explanations for how that could have happened. So he's absolutely blown the chain of custody. And again, he has a prosecutor, lead prosecutor in this case, Jay Bratt, who met with White House counsel and a representative of the National Archives several times in the weeks before Jack Smith was even appointed. This reeks of crossfire hurricane when the Obama-Biden administration fabricated evidence before the FISA court, lied to the court about it to pursue Donald Trump, and now we're seeing it again in this classified documents case. The judge could dismiss this case at any point in time, Maria. I think the only reason that she hasn't is she wants to document this publicly.
So the reason Judge Cannon hasn't dropped this case, got this case thrown out and dropped completely, is because she's letting the evidence grow against Jack Smith. I love it. I love it. That sounds great to me. I ain't mad at you. Let's get this done. There is overwhelming evidence that Biden weaponized the Department of Justice using Michael Colangelo and Jack Smith to farm out all these attempted prosecutions against Trump to all these different locations: New York, Washington, D.C., Georgia, Florida. Ridiculous, folks. And I'm just glad to see this lawfare is all coming to an end, with the exception of the prosecutions and indictments that's going to come for the people that were involved in all this maligned shittiness towards Trump. And what does Trump have to say about all this? Well, don't worry, folks. I got the answer right here. Be the last clip of the day, folks. A little bit of a stern warning from the great Trump. Now, this is not new, but needed to be said.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them.
Yeah.
The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled, so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible.
7 days.
Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee, so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's what I needed to hear, folks. That's what I needed to hear. Started off this video with something to piss you off because we all need to know what the hell's going on in California. Ended the video with the uplifting words from Trump with his undying promise. We gonna get him. We gonna get him this time. We gonna pay him back. We're gonna punish him. We're gonna prosecute him. We're gonna fire him. We're gonna indict. We're gonna investigate. And we're gonna get rid of a lot of people. Heads are gonna roll, folks. Figuratively, heads are gonna roll, and I can't wait. We got 7 days, folks. It's not weeks anymore. It's down to just days. I'm so ready. It's fixing to get lit in the next couple of days. We're gonna find out who gets confirmed, who doesn't, who is salamanders in Congress versus politicians with a backbone. We're fixing to find out.